So hello, welcome to my channel. Today I will show you how to connect to a database in our laptop or in our computer using using C++ connector for MySQL for MySQL database. So let me first tell you that normally we can actually execute SQL statements with scripts like, for example, batchmod.txt file here. So with this file, for example, we can, so let's say we have a database, sudo MySQL. So in this database, we can actually see the database, see all the tables in this database with, first let's see our databases. So with the super user privileges, for example, in this database, in this local host, I can see, for example, 8 different databases. So let's see that if you want to use one of these databases, for example, if you want to select this management database, you can basically type the statement use management database, and now we have actually move to the management database, and now you can actually see the tables with show table statement. As you can see in this management database, we have 2 tables called departments and the employees. So for example, let's see other databases. Show databases. So let's see. Normally, when you want to move to a different database, you can basically tell that use managery, for example. So now we have changed our database, and in this database, for example, let's see the tables here. As you can see, in this database we have the event and the pet tables. So we can, for example, select every column or every different table elements from this database by select everything from basically pet, let's say. So now, as you can see, we have this in this pet table, we have the name for the different pets, for different animals, and the owner of these pets and the species of these pets, their gender, their birth date and their death date. So instead of actually using the select and the other MySQL statements from the terminal, when your MySQL has been launched, you can basically use a batch. You can basically use a file such as this one. This is, let's quit this. This is a batchmod.txt file. So basically, to execute these statements, so let's say we can create a vim. Let's say pet batch statements.txt. So in this txt file, we can basically write, for example, select everything from pet table. But first, since we will execute these from the terminal without MySQL has been launched, we actually need to move to this table by, wait a minute, insertion mode. We have to come here and say use pet info, because the name of the database is the pet info, and let's quit. So now, to execute this pet batch statements, we need to launch this MySQL with the super user privileges. So sudo MySQL, as you can see, since we will basically execute this, we need to sudo MySQL pet batch statements.txt. We insert our password, unknown database pet info. I think the problem is the name of the database is managery. Yeah, name of the database is not pet info. I made a mistake there, so I need to change this pet info with the name of the database was Managery. I was following the tutorial, so now when we execute this, as you can see now from the terminal, we can basically list all of the distinct instances of different entries into this database. We have the name of the pets, the owner of the pets, the species, the birth and death date as well. So now my point is that, so as all of you probably know, that to execute MySQL statements after launching this MySQL, it's actually very time consuming. So we actually need to automate this process with either, as I have showed just a couple of minutes ago, with this pet batch statements, I mean the statements or the batch files like these ones, or you can actually have a connector to this database using different programming languages such as Python, C++, or Java. And the whole point of this video is to show you how to connect to a database that we have created in our localhost, and to connect to this database with our script. So let me first show you that I am being recording. It's been 6 minutes. So for example, we have so this is my example. So for example, let's don't see this for a while. Let's close this. So let's move to lessons, change directory, advanced database analysis. Let's make a file called make directory called C++ connector project, and move to this folder. Open the VC code here. So now what we need to do is basically to create a C++ folder called, let's say, connection cpp, let's say database connector.cpp. So through this C++ file, we will basically connect to our local database. So first of all, to be able to connect to this database with C++ libraries, we need to actually get this MySQL connector, C++ MySQL connector libraries and header files to our machine. So to achieve that, we have actually two options. But one of them, which I have actually first started to use, is a bit of, how to say, I don't want to say time consuming, but it's a bit of a problem. So the first way of achieving this is go to MySQL C++ connector, and here we can actually download MySQL C++ connector with this. You can basically download this one and wait until it's being downloaded. No, as you can see, I have actually downloaded it before, so I will just cancel the process. So as you can see now, change directory to downloads. Here I have actually for example, list grep, what was the name of that? It's something like MySQL connector. Yeah, as you can see, this is MySQL connector C++ 8033 Linux for Ubuntu based, Debian based operating systems. So first of all, you need to extract this. So let's move to change directory, to lessons, to advanced database analysis. So as you can see, what I have done before is that I have basically created a file called MySQL C++ connector. If you move to this MySQL C++ connector, as you can see, I have this file here. So let me show you. So what you're gonna do basically is, let's say you are doing this for the first time. We cannot remove this because it's a file. Remove. So now we have removed this file from this directory. So what we are gonna do next is that basically we will let's open a new terminal. Downloads MySQL. Here we will move this MySQL C++ connector to the one directory before, one directory back, and then to the lessons, to the advanced database analysis, and to the MySQL C++ connector. And now, since we have moved this file to here, we will basically need to extract this tar file with tar xf, I suppose. So now we have extracted this MySQL connector. So let's see, we have, yeah, as you can see, we have now the extracted MySQL connector C++, and we can basically safely remove this MySQL C++ connector .tar file. So now what you can do is basically our new file was C++ connector project. We've been already here, so we need to include this library to our project with, for example, include something like, because since this library, since these header files are basically included in this MySQL C++ connector file, we'll basically include one directory back. Here we have MySQL C++ connector, and here we have this connector arch, and inside we have the include directory, and here we have this. Yeah, as you can see, in this directory we have gdbc, MySQL, and MySQLx. So you can basically include this gdbc, and then you can basically start using. So this gives an error because this gdbc is a directory. As you can see, C++com, and now we have all the header files. This is probably also going to issue an error. Cannot open source file. For example, for connection, as you can see, now we can basically include all of these header files that we need using this concept, using this way of including all header files that we actually require in our project. But I have actually had problems with this, so I actually used a different way. So what you're going to do basically is that, but you can basically use this gdbc directories, all of these header files from the C++ connector, C++ cppcon file. You can take every, basically you can take every directory. For example, you can take MySQL connection.header file, you can take MySQL connection header file, you can take from gdbc, you can take MySQL driver, you can take, basically you can take everything this way, but this is actually not convenient. So what I have done basically is that I have downloaded this MySQL libraries using it was something, yeah, sudo apt-get install MySQL cppcondev. So when you sudo apt-get install MySQL cppcondev, you can basically have all of these header files and the libraries already installed in your you can have them installed already in your user include file. You can have the header files here. For example, let's grab everything related to the MySQL here. So let's say MySQL. As you can see, if you download this MySQL with this statement sudo apt-get install library MySQL cpp-condev, you can basically get all of these header files. And there is also here, you can ls grep cppcon. There's also a directory here called cppcon that has all of these header files that we were actually trying to include to our project here. So as you can see, also we have, let's change directory to the home directory, and from here there is also the libraries are also here. You can grab, for example, everything related to MySQL. As you can see, our libraries are here. And what else? Let's grab cppcon. So anyways, so if you download it this way, you will get all of the header files that you require in your project. So after explaining you that, for example, you can include all of these MySQLs. You can see you can include MySQL connection like this way, or you can include from the cppcon, for example, the driver header. So you can basically do this to compile the project. So now let me close this file. Actually, I can continue from here as well. So now you can actually start by checking the examples from the website, from the MySQL Connect website. They have two examples here. This one is, let me see the first example. In the first example, we have a message shown in the terminal, and we have the MySQL connection header file included. We have the driver header, exception header, we have the result set header and the statement header in the C++ file. So for example, let me see, because I don't remember, I have statement header here. We have statement. Okay, because when I was trying to compile my project with the libraries that I have required from the website, from the binaries, I had a problem with the statement and the result set header files. So basically, if you have the problems with the result set and the statement header files, you actually need to compile. You just need to actually download with the sto apt-get lib MySQL cpp-condev like this. You need to get this one if you have a problem with result set and the statement header files. And what else? So basically, to be able to use the MySQL C++ connector, you basically need to get you need to have a driver, you need to have a connection, you need to have a statement, SQL statement type of pointer variable that basically, and the SQL, this is the basic example of using MySQL C++ connector. So for example, you will have a driver instance that is of SQL driver pointer variable type. So this will basically point to an SQL driver. We will have a connection. So for example, driver, we will need to get a driver instance to connect to this database, and we get this get driver instance with this function. So this basically returns an SQL driver type of object, and we can actually manipulate SQL driver object with this statement. Now we will connect to the local database As you know, the local databases are actually in the form of 127.0.0.1, and for example here it connects with the root privileges. It connects, this is the user and this is the password, and connect set schema is basically tells us which database we are actually trying to connect to. So the database name is test in this case, and we also have a statement. As you know, this create statement returns a SQL statement type of pointer variable. This is the type that actually this object will point to. So this create statement will return this SQL statement type of object and will point to this SQL statement. And we have a result, which is we execute this statement. These statements, SQL statement has a execute query type of function, execute query function that actually executes the query. And while this results next, since this result has not reached to result last, because we also have a function called result last, we can extract the reply of the SQL. So we need to get a string from the output from the MySQL. And what else? So for example, you can access the column data by numeric offset. For example, if you get a table, you can basically get this get string 1 actually returns the first column of this result. So this will return, for example, since this case is true, since this query actually gives us more than one insertions, this will basically return the first column. And then we need to, since it's C++, we need to actually get rid of the these variables because they are actually allocated dynamically. So we need to delete the res and delete the statement and delete the con. And we also have, since it's a try-catch statement, we can actually catch exceptions with this catch block. So then, yeah, this is the first example. What I'm actually trying to show you is that we also have the second example here, more or less the same thing, but there are different statements here, and also we have a for statement that actually inserts values into a created table. For example, this statement creates statement drop table if exists test, and we create a new table called test that actually has IDs as the information of the columns. So then we delete this statement, and then we have so connector, this connection has a prepare statement function which actually can be executed. For example, let's see, too much talking, let's write codes to do something. So let's see, let me actually move to my codes, exit this one, let's close this one. I have here somewhere connected project. So here, as you can see, this is my project. I will just show what my project has to achieve. Basically, is that change directory to lessons, change directory to advanced database analysis. Here I have an exams file. So exams. Let's get rid of this. So I need to create a script, C++ connected script, to create 4 tables, and I need to create a graphics model for my database using a database design tool, and this is the deadline. And this script has supposed to show insertion, selection, and update and delete functionalities in SQL. So let me close this one. So I have first, as I have told you, I have first used this library from the binaries, and we can delete this. Let me see. So we have the standard library, we have the input output stream, exception, MySQL connection.header, and MySQL driver, result set, statement, prepared statement, and the password.h, which I actually have a passport file that actually lets me to connect to my my local database. So for example, I also use a try catch statement. I have a driver from SQL namespace, from MySQL namespace, MySQL driver. We can actually see it. As you can see, this is the MySQL driver header file, and here there is an SQL and MySQL namespace, and in this namespace there are different classes. For example, let me see. This class, for example, is a connect MySQL driver. So where is it? Yeah, as you can see, this MySQL driver inherits from the SQL driver, and actually when you install with the sudo apt-get install MySQL, if you install it that way, you will also get the boost dependencies, so you can achieve that way as well. So I have the MySQL driver and MySQL driver type of object, and let's see, MySQL driver, let me see this. Okay. Anyways, we have the driver, we have the connection, we have the statement and the result set and the prepared statement. So what I do basically is that I get the driver, I create a driver instance with SQL MySQL get MySQL driver instance. I connect to the database with the local host IP address and the name of the user and the password from the password.header file, which is basically a header file that actually has a password in it. And this is the database that I've been connecting. Database to connect to, and this is the create statement. So as you already know, this basically returns an SQL statement type of object. This returns an SQL statement of type of pointer variable. This basically instantiates an object in memory, and here we point to an SQL statement type of basically it's an SQL statement type of pointer variable, and then we actually execute different statements. So as an example, I have executed 2 statements here. Statement, actually before explaining about being able to execute these different statements, to be able to make these queries, you will probably if you try to program your project, if you're trying to program your project this way, you will probably get a problem with the user privileges. So what you're supposed to do is that basically, MySQL, let's get rid of these as well. So yeah, so here, as you can see, I don't know how, so select or show, I guess, show hostname or select hostname. As you can see, actually the default hostname here is the name of this laptop, but for example, to be able to connect to this database, you actually need to have a user. You need to create a user that has the privileges of changing, updating, having different queries for this database. You actually need to create a user. So, and to create a user, I will just show you how to create a user. Let me show you. So create user. I'm just trying to remember the context. I don't actually remember correctly, but not this one. Yeah. So to be able to connect to your database, you actually need to grant some privileges to a user, but first you need to create a user, basically. So let me see. So you need to create a user, such as in your MySQL server, create user. I will go with my name at localhost, identified by, you will basically enter a password. I don't know right now which password this is supposed to be. So this is gonna fail. The reason it's gonna fail because I already have a user called Khan, and you also need to grant privileges on the name of the database here, such as management database to run at localhost. Yeah, basically it's something like this. Yeah, this database is every table. I think it's selected like this. To this user, the level privilege level specified for privileges. Grant privileges on name of the database to this user identified by this password, whatever it is. You will basically insert your password, and that's all. So since I already have a user, this is not going to be a problem. So you will basically create a user and grant privileges. Maybe you can check from here. Create user. Where is that? Create user. You will grant the privileges in the data for every table in the database, and you will flash the privileges. And in my case here, and to compile this code, since I'm not actually using any CMake, or I'm not actually using CMake to generate the executable file. So what I'm doing basically is that I'm compiling from the terminal with G++ with the vol option. It actually helps us to see the errors related to the to our code. And this is the include directories. It's in user include cppcon. As you already know, these are already in our include directory. These ones are already in our include directory. I just need to include the cppcon header file. Get rid of this, and we will create an output file. I will create an executable called test app, or it doesn't matter. Let's say connector executable, and from this connector.cpp you also need to include our libraries with the L flag. For the include directories you need to use I flag, and you also need to include the library Learn MySQL cppcon. Use include cppcon, not such file directory, because I forgot the flag. As you can see, we have actually compiled, and we have a executable here, but we have a bunch of warnings, and they are related to the fact that we haven't actually used prepared statement and the result variables. So now you can execute this, and you can check. You can go to your database. This is my database. Use management database, and in this database we have let's see the tables. As you can see, it created two tables called departments and the employees. So departments, as you can see, departments and the employees, we have two tables. But one thing to notice here is that when you're working with the database for the first time, when you're inserting the elements of the database for the first time, actually it's a good idea to insert if not exists statement here, because this will create the table if it doesn't already exist. If it doesn't exist, it will create this table. Otherwise, it will basically this bunch of thing is not gonna make any sense. So now, for example, you can let's select everything from departments. Select whenever, select everything from departments. It's not select, it's select. As you can see, it's empty because I haven't insert any data to this table. So it's been 40 minutes. So in the next video I will show you how to insert actually tables to this database. But let me tell you something, is that normally, as you know, we can basically with pet page statements, not this one, let's grab pet code snippet, not this one, right? Let's grab everything. So event.txt, yeah, as you can see, normally if you want to insert all of these stuff into your database, you actually need to execute some statements in your MySQL terminal, but I will show you how to insert all of these instances into your database using C++ connector. So let me see you in the next video. Thanks for watching my video, and please subscribe to my channel. Take care. See ya.